My whole life I had no hope and no future and no plan. And coming through Overcomers, I knew that God had a plan all along, and that even all that brokenness, those things that just drugged me down and made me feel useless and worthless and meaningless, that God can even take those broken shards of my life and make something beautiful. My mom was an addict and my dad an alcoholic. When I was 3, my dad, being drunk, busted a beer bottle and caused my mom to leave him. I never really saw my dad again. I moved in with my grandmother and my step-grandfather. She's a really good woman, good Christian. My grandfather became my hero, my best friend, my father figure. When I was 5, he committed suicide in the room next to me, and I found him, and it kind of caused me to be really depressed and suicidal myself even at a young age. My grandma was a nurse, and when I was younger they allowed nurses to bring home samples. You know, I knew where she kept them, and I would go in her drawer and take them. I didn't like the way that life felt and the way I felt and thought. From there, at 13, I started experimenting with drugs and alcohol, marijuana, pills, further, and it just progressively got worse and worse and led to meth, heroin, cocaine, crack, really anything and everything I could get my hands on. My kidneys were failing, my liver was damaged, I started losing my sight. I had repeated visits to the hospital for blood poisoning and sepsis and cellulitis, and I had come to the point where the next step was death. God put in my heart just to call a friend that I heard was doing really well. He told me about a program called Miracle Hill Overcomers. Hearing the change that God had made in his life, I wanted it.
It has been said that addiction is trying to meet a legitimate need through illegitimate means that lead to disastrous consequences, and that describes Justin. He came here with these genuine needs of the need to be accepted, the need to be loved. He kept trying to find the panacea in the drug crowd. He tried to find it in his substance abuse and self-medicating, but it never worked until he came here and he found it. He found it in Jesus Christ.
When I first got here, I would go to the cross and the bench outside and just reflect on how far addiction had taken me. At first I didn't kneel, I just sat there, and then as the program progressed and as I really started embracing it more, and I started trading that brokenness and hopelessness and depression for joy and peace, I felt surrender. I felt God's presence when I was on my knees and on my face before him, and specifically by that cross. It was the first place and time in my life where I had really just given everything to God.
Went 7 months here, did a terrific job, was an RA, was a leader here, and then he moved on to another program in ministry, Homes of Hope, which is a partner ministry with Miracle Hill, which is similar to our transitional housing, and began to soar in his recovery and began to really make spiritual strides.
Transitional housing is just as important as the rehabilitation aspect of recovery. You go from no structure and addiction to very strict structure and rules in Overcomers. And then if you don't go to transitional housing, you go out with no structure again.
These kind of programs, these aftercare programs like our transitional housing is absolutely crucial in recovery, because there is accountability, there is discipleship, there is a safe, affordable housing, there is the camaraderie of all these recovering addicts and alcoholics. It was kind of a win-win situation for him. My entire life I didn't know what God had made me for.
And coming out of the bonds of addiction, I knew in my heart that God wanted me to share hope with others who were still in those bonds. He set me free to be able to proclaim freedom to those who are still bound. Now I get to see not only my life transformed, but see God transform other people's lives and just be a part of it. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing.